This episode is brought to you by Firefly Books, and with you being a sports fan just like me, here's 2 suggestions for your next great sports read. If you love basketball, then you need to add Dave Zarum's book, NBA 75, The Definitive History. Uncover untold stories of triumph, controversy, and the greatest stars of the game. From the league's humble beginnings to its modern glory, it is a courtside seat to 75 years of NBA history. And if you're a golf fanatic, then you gotta check out Matt Adams' book, The Golf Round I'll Never Forget. I've used it as a reference in this podcast over the past year for lots of stories that I've done, and I can tell you from experiencing it, this is a great book. Relive 50 of golf's most memorable moments through the eyes of the legends themselves. It's the closest you'll ever get to walking the fairways with the greatest to ever play the game. Grab your copy of NBA 75 or The Golf Round I'll Never Forget, available from Firefly, wherever you get your books. This day in sports history. And welcome back to This Day in Sports History, a member of the Sports History Network. If you check out sportshistorynetwork.com, you can find a lot of great podcasts. All sports are represented there, and you can find your next great listen at sportshistorynetwork.com. It's July 9th, and on this day in 1977, it was the Duel in the Sun between Jack Nicklaus and Tom Watson at the British Open. By this point in their careers, Nicklaus was a 2-time Open champion and had won the career Grand Slam twice over. Watson had won the Open Championship in '75, missed the cut in '76, but he was ready to contend again at this edition at Turnberry. He was having a pretty good year as well, winning the Masters in April and finishing with a top 10 finish at the US Open. Now, here in the British Open, both Nicklaus and Watson shot 68 in the first round, 2 shots off the leader. Nicklaus and Watson both shot 70 on day 2, lurking just 1 shot off the pace. Both players had been paired together for the 3rd round, and they both got around the links in 65. So as play began on this day, they were tied at the top of the leaderboard at 7 under, 3 shots ahead of Ben Crenshaw. Everybody else fell away, leaving the pair of Americans to duel it out under the sun on the Scottish west coast. Nicklaus got off to a better start, birdieing the 2nd hole while Watson stumbled with a bogey. After Nicklaus made another birdie at the 4th and Watson holed out for a par, the Golden Bear led by 3 shots. But Watson fought back with 3 birdies in the next 4 holes to even things back up after the 8th. The tension was palpable, and it was rising. Andrew Proud was one of many young golf fans following the pair on their journey this day, and he remembers how crazy and exciting it was.
Well, you were aware that, you were watching the 2 icons, but I wasn't aware at that age that this was going to be one of the events in world sport. We spent that afternoon running between shots, trying to peep through legs, on tiptoes to look over. The atmosphere and the importance of it, everybody was running. It wasn't just the youngsters, there was old guys running. Everybody was wanting to see the next shot, the next mistake, who was going to make that fantastic shot that was going to make the difference. Golf courses were meant to be quiet places, but there it was just absolutely pandemonium.
Nicklaus kept applying pressure. Another birdie at the 12th gave him a 2-shot lead, but Watson came back with a pair of birdies in the next 3 holes, which included a miraculous 75-foot shot on the par 3 15th from off the green to square the match again. When they came to the par 5 17th, they were still tied. Nicklaus's 2nd shot came up a little short and right, and he played a nice bump and run shot to put him in a position to make birdie.
It was a good strike too, just misread it. Hit it straight at the left side, and it didn't turn.
He tapped in for a disappointing par instead. Watson had played a beautiful 2nd shot, missed the eagle putt by a few inches, and he tapped in for his birdie to take a 1-shot lead to the final hole. Now, Nicklaus's missed opportunity there put him in a position where he had to be aggressive off the tee at 18. He just made a bad swing.
And he's chopped it. He's chopped it away down the right-hand side. He's disgusted with it. He turns away, and it's careering into the rough. I don't think it will reach the bushes, but he was going for a mighty one, and the nerve just went at the end. And he's very close to the gorse.
So Watson played a conservative iron shot off the tee, and he hit the fairway. His second shot was an absolute gem. He didn't know it at the time, but it was exactly the shot that he needed.
That was the swing of a confident man, wasn't it? It looked beautiful. Elementary, my dear Watson.
Of course, Nicklaus always had a flair for the dramatic with the uncanny ability to hit clutch shots. After slashing his second out of the tall grass to just in front of the green, he hit the shot of the tournament to put the pressure back on Watson, rolling in a 36-foot putt for birdie.
Can't be, can it? What about that then? Well, I tell you what, if there are any knighthoods flying about or honorary degrees, well, those fellows must be due for one. I've never seen anything like that in my life. We were just thinking now, won't it be nice to have two putts from about 3 feet for the Open Championship, and suddenly young Master Watson has to pull himself together and pop his in to be champion. What a putt, what a putt.
Young Andrew Proud remembers watching that putt find the bottom of the cup.
I can still remember the cheer and the adulation for Nicklaus to hold that putt and make Watson win it. I was low enough down to peer through some legs to actually be able to see it. The roar that went up, you know, it was loud.
Watson half expected Jack to make that putt, and he was prepared to roll his short one in. And fortunately for him, he had just a 2-footer tap in to win it. And it was the end of one of the all-time great golf duels in history. About a decade later, ABC sat both of them down and they talked about their memories of that day while watching the match highlights.
Look at the crowd. I mean, it was a match that had to end that way. I mean, for 2 days, the last 2 days, the two of us played terrific golf. I played as well as I could play. You just played one shot better. And that's what I said. I said, you know, I didn't lose the British Open. Tom won it. And I think that was one of the great matches of all time, one of the most enjoyable matches. And there you are tapping in your putt, and you aren't very excited, are you?
Yeah, I'll tell you, it was one of my greatest thrills in golf right there. So we walked off the green. I'll never forget what you said. You said, I gave you my best shot, but it wasn't good enough. And after that British Open, I told myself very simply that maybe I can play with the big boys now.
A little false modesty from Watson, considering this was his third major tournament win of his career and the second of that season. He would go on to win the Open Championship 3 more times in 1980, 82, and 83. Have you ever heard the term drive for show and putt for dough? Well, that very truthful statement was credited to golfer Bobby Locke, who won the 1949 Open Championship at Royal St. George's on this day. He battled Ireland's Harry Bradshaw in a 36-hole playoff. Well, it wasn't much of a battle, really. Locke won by 12 shots, winning the first of his 4 claret jugs. Now, Locke was an incredible putter whose stroke was emulated by more than a few golfers, including Gary Player, though Locke could be agonizingly deliberate at times, standing over a crucial putt. He admitted that he kept his putter in bed with him and seldom let it out of his sight. This episode is brought to you by Sterling Roastery. You know, for several months you've heard me talking about the great products and scents offered by the Sterling Soap Company. And while there may not seem to be any correlation between soap and coffee, what is similar is the same care and attention to detail in delivering great products to their customers. Sterling Roastery will ship great-tasting beans or ground coffee, for whatever coffee-making process you prefer, right to your door. I gave their breakfast blend a try recently, and I can tell you, it was a great way to get my day kick-started with this smooth, medium blend. And just like their soaps, they have a variety to choose from. Give Sterling Roastery a try at sterlingsoap.com. On this day in 2006, Zinedine Zidane, playing in his final match as a professional, lost his head and then sent it into the chest of Marco Mattarazzi. It was the 2006 World Cup final between France and Italy, and both of these men played into the early goals of this one. First, in the 6th minute, Mattarazzi not really, fouled Florent Malouda in the box, setting up Zidane with the PK chance.
It's Zinedine Zidane here. Across the line, it's a goal, but how lucky almost is that? How casual, how cheeky. Only one of the world's great players would attempt anything as audacious as that, but he nearly paid the penalty, if you excuse the pun.
His cheeky chip hit the underside of the crossbar and bounced past the line for the first goal of the game. Now, no VAR at this point, so the call was on the shoulders of the assistant referee, and he got it right. But that was nearly a disaster for the French. Mattarazzi made up for his phantom foul in the 19th minute.
Pirlo's corner, Italy, trailed by a goal. Set piece and a thumping header from the centre-back Marco Mattarazzi has brought Italy right back into this game.
The game remained 1-1 through the end of regulation and into extra time. In extra time, Gigi Buffon made a brilliant save on a Zidane header, getting fingertips on it to tip it just over the bar. Late in the second extra time period and closing in on PKs, play shifted from the French end to the midfield. In an off-the-ball incident not seen by the referee or either assistant referee, Zidane turned and delivered a powerful headbutt to the chest of Mattarazzi, who crumpled to the turf.
Well, there's Zinedine Zidane. Oh, and he's just headed Mattarazzi in the middle of the chest.
So after play was stopped due to a foul on the other half of the field, the ref looked for any information about what had happened on the opposite end. The Italians were screaming for a card. Again, no VAR available. The only official to see it happen was the fourth official, and he relayed the information to referee Horacio Elizondo via headset. Now, if you watch the video, you'll see Elizondo talk with his AR and then deliver the red card, but he said that was all an act to show that he had not made the decision on his own. But it was the right call, a straight red to Zidane, and he was sent off. Asked later what had provoked the reaction, Zidane said he told Mattarazzi to stop grabbing his shirt, and then added, "If you want it so badly, I'll be happy to give it to you after the match." To which, according to Zidane, Mattarazzi said, "I don't want your jersey. I'd prefer your sister instead." Now, when questioned for his side of the story, Mattarazzi confirmed later that he had insulted Zidane's sister, but the public court of arbitration did not matter in that moment. Zidane was gone. The French played a man down and did not have him for the PK shootout. The match went to PKs, and Italy bested France 5-3 in the shootout to win the 2006 World Cup. It was an ignominious end to Zidane's career, and he's talked about it numerous times since and says he has zero regrets about the headbutt. So definitely an error in judgment, and sort of like what happened on this day in 2003 with Pittsburgh Pirate Randall Simon. The Pirates were playing at Milwaukee on this day, and in the middle of the 6th inning, the Brewers put on their typical sausage race. Now, you know what I'm talking about, right? 4 contestants dress up in costumes. One is a brat, another is a hot dog, there's a Polish sausage, and an Italian sausage. The racing sausages took off, and it was a close race as they sprinted by the Pirates' dugout along the third base line. Well, Randall Simon had a bat in his hand, and as the Italian sausage went by, he tapped it on the head. The sausage went down and took the hot dog with it. It took a few moments, but eventually the Italian and the hot dog were able to get to their feet and make it to the finish line. But television coverage caught the bop on the head, and outrage from fans followed. Enough so that after the game, Simon was arrested by Milwaukee police in the locker room. He was later released after paying a $432 fine. He was also suspended for 3 games by the league. Now, the person inside the Italian sausage costume was 19-year-old Mary Block, who really didn't see what all the fuss was about. Her actual noggin was about 12 to 16 inches away from the bat tap, and she was not upset at all. Instead of righteous indignation and suing for millions of dollars, she only asked for the bat and for it to be autographed by Simon. And time now for today's That's Got Nothing to Do with Sports fun fact. There is an incorporated town in Nebraska with a population of 1. Tiny Monowai is on the border with South Dakota, and its lone resident is 89-year-old Elsie Eiler. She is the mayor, the clerk, librarian, and treasurer. The town receives state funding for municipal road work, but she has to raise money for the small town's street lighting and the water. Now, back in the 1930s, Monowai had a population of about 150, but people started to relocate to larger towns and cities. There are no remaining shops in Monowai, but there is a tavern where Elsie makes quite a tasty burger. So you can stop in while you travel through and have a chat with the town's lone resident. And then go visit the local library. This has been an original Thrive Suite production.